Hello, my name is Marsh, and I'm a Technology Transformation Associate at Grant Thornton. Today I'm going to be walking through what I built for the DocuSign CLM Capstone. As you can see, I chose the Salesforce option for the Capstone. I think having this integration between DocuSign CLM and Salesforce makes it a lot easier for sales reps, like within XYZ Corporation, to perform their daily responsibilities. As you can see on the screen, we built this opportunity page for an edge communication sale. The integration between DocuSign CLM makes it really easy for sales reps to stay within Salesforce and complete most of their contracting needs. As you can see down at the bottom, all of the documents related to this opportunity that are stored in CLM will be viewable and accessible through this window down at the bottom. We also added a button up here where sales reps can easily create a contract. We're going to walk through the generate workflow right now. So within this form, sales reps have to select an effective date where the contract is going to start. They can also view all of the information about the client from this page. This data is automatically pulled from Salesforce from the account that is related to the opportunity. These contacts are also pulled from Salesforce and are dynamic based on the account that's related to the opportunity. Sales reps in XYZ Corporation have to select a point of contact for the contract. So when the contract is sent out for external review, the workflow knows who to send it out to. So we're going to choose Sean and press next. So the CLM system is building the contract based on the template that we designated and populating the information into the template. So as you can see here, it gives you a little preview of the contract filled out with the information pulled from Salesforce. So we're going to go ahead and click save, and the workflow will be kicked off. So when we refresh the page, you'll be able to see that the contract is now in negotiation and review status, and down at the bottom, the document was populated within the window, so they can click on this and easily access the contract. So now we're going to switch over to the legal persona. So this persona is the XYZ legal department. We have Maddie from legal, who just got a notification that a new contract was submitted. So you can either go through the email and click on the link, or you can find assign tasks through this task window. Takes you to the same page. So right now, Maddie from legal has to decide whether to send the contract for external review, internal review, send for signature, and review the document. So we're going to go ahead and download it because we want to make an edit. So we are going to make an edit, deleting this clause right here. Save. And then we are going to re-upload a new version. This is the document. So right now it's going to upload the version that we just changed into the workflow. And then this new version will be used throughout the rest of the workflow. It'll maintain that version control so everyone's working on the most recent document. So as you can see, we deleted that page or that paragraph. So since we deleted a paragraph, we're going to want to send it for internal review, just so everyone within XYZ Corporation is on the same page before we send it out to the client. So once we designate that we want to send it for internal review, we're going to have to select a user. We're going to send it. As you can see, this is the salesman that sent us the new contract, so we're going to choose that user to send it back to. We can add a paragraph from termination. complete. And now it was sent back to the salesman, so we're going to switch back over to that persona. And as you can see, it was shows up in our tasks. So when we click on approve, and as the salesman, I'm not really sure what was changed, so we're going to go ahead and click compare with the previous version. So right now it's going to go through the document, see what changed from the first version, and it'll neatly outline it for us within this preview. So it'll keep, you don't have to remember what the document said before. These documents can get pretty long, so this makes it a lot easier to quickly identify what was changed between versions. So as you can see, that paragraph was deleted here. We can also see the comments that were given from the legal team, if that makes it easier. But we're going to go back to tasks, approve this because we're okay with the change. And now that sends it back to legal. So we switch back to our legal persona here, refresh the tasks. We have another choice for the Edge Communications account. We can click on the activity, see that the previous user has approved the change. So since that's what happened, we're gonna go ahead and send it for external review. Now, what's happening now is when we send it for external review, the workflow will automatically send the most up-to-date version to the point of contact that was designated on that form. So if you remember, it was Sean. So Sean's going to be getting an email that looks like this. So as you can see, it gives them a customized greeting that'll be dynamic based on the name that was designated in the form. And then we go ahead and click review. So as the external point of contact, I can download and edit the contract as well. This makes the redlining process a lot easier. Instead of having to maintain a bunch of emails and trying to stay up to date with the latest version. So we're going to make another change. We're just going to delete this one. Save. And as you can see here, it gives a nice little window to update. And as you can see, it was a different file name, but that doesn't matter. They can name it whatever they want and it'll automatically be uploaded into the workflow. Deleted paragraph. Termination. So the external review is now done and the document is going to be sent back to legal. So we're going to switch over to that legal persona one more time. Refresh. And we have another task. So you can go through this process of sending for internal review and external review as much as you want, but for now, this document is good with everyone involved, and we're gonna send it for signature. So first, it's gonna send it to the salesman for signature, and then it's gonna send it to the external point of contact. So this is what here's the agreed upon contract. Please let us know if you have any issues with the signature. And it came from Maddie from legal, who has been doing all of the reviews so far. So we're gonna go ahead and click review document. continue, and sign. Makes it super simple. And now that XYZ has signed, it's going to send it to the external point of contact for signature. Here is what the email looks like for the external point of contact. It gets the same email as the salesman, and you go through the same process. So when we click review, I agree, we get prompted to sign, and I'm just going to change my name really quickly here. Sean. Adopt and sign, finish. So both parties have signed. Everything should be complete now. We've got email notifications sending notifications that all the contracts have been reviewed and signed. When we go to Salesforce, as the salesman, I'll be able to see this update. It's still working through the workflow right now, but as you can see down at the bottom, the contract has been converted to a PDF, and then in the description it's put signed, just so they stay on the same page. But in a few moments, this bar up here will update to close, just so you get a nice easy view of, as you can see, the bar has been updated to close, so the salesman knows that everything's done. This contract has been signed. You should be good now. So that was the generate workflow. Next, we're going to walk through the uploaded workflow, where you upload a third-party contract and it goes through the same workflow with an extra step of approval. So thank you. For this next part of the demo, I'm going to walk through what it looks like when a sales rep wants to upload a third-party contract that they received from a client into the workflow, and what it looks like when it goes through that. So what we're going to do is go through the same process of clicking the create contract button. Instead of clicking generate, we're going to click upload, and you can drag and drop the file, but we're going to click select the high tech and XYZ contract, select the effective date. And this form is similar to what we walked through in the previous process. But I wanted to highlight that these fields can be changed to be editable. Say if you have dirty data, that might be very helpful. But we're going to keep it the same. Similar to the last process, we're going to select a contact. And once we click start, it's going to kick off the workflow and send the contract to the sales rep manager, who will need to approve the contract before we can keep going. So here's what it looks like. The sales rep has uploaded a third-party contract for approval. Please review at the following link. When we click on it, it'll take us to the approval. And what you can see is we put some instructions so they know what they should be reviewing. So please ensure that all sales related information, pricing terms, etc. are acceptable. Legal review will review the contract after approval. So everything looks good to us. Similar to the last process, we can download and upload a new version if we need to, but right now everything looks good. So we're going to click approve. And now it's going to be routed to legal for them to do their checks and determine whether or not this needs to be sent for internal approval, external approval, and so on. Um, So when we click on it, we can review. I'm gonna just download and make a quick edit just to show you that even these third-party contracts can be edited and uploaded, and it provides the same version control that the last form did that was generated. We're just gonna delete this paragraph here, save, and upload. And like I said, all the version control is done within inside the system, and you'll always be working with the previous version. So as I demoed earlier, you can click the compare if you need to. But we're going to go ahead and send it for internal review, and you'll be prompted as a legal reviewer, similar with the last one, to see who needs to approve it. We could send it to the sales manager if we want to, but I'm going to go ahead and send it to the salesman. And it's sent. So when I switch over to the salesman's persona and tasks, there's an approval. And I'm just going to quickly show you that the redlining happens the same, even with the third-party contract, which is very helpful if you have a lot of third-party contracts. It just helps you manage them a lot easier when it's all within the system. So as you can see, there was a paragraph deleted here. It's fine with us. Complete. Switch back to the legal persona. As you can see, we have another choice for high-tech corporation. And we're going to send it for signature. And this goes through the same ordered process of sales rep needs to sign, as well as external client needs to sign. So here is the contract, or that's one of the notifications. So this is the contract that they need to sign. So when we click on it, continue, here's the contract with a place to sign, finish. Thank you. And here's the notification that the external party got. And when we click on that, we get taken to another screen. And we sign. Change it to the contact name and finish. And now the contract signed, it'll be all of the ending tasks will be completed, and the sales rep will be able to see this in Salesforce. As you can see, the contract was converted to a PDF with the description signed. If we want to click on it, we get a nice little preview of the document with the description and the signatures. And when we click refresh on this screen, it should update to a closed status. And you can see it's closed. So the integration between Salesforce and DocuSign makes it really easy for sales reps to stay up to date. And that was the entire workflow for XYZ Corporation, with both generated contracts as well as uploaded. So next I'm going to be walking you through how this works, what the workflow looks like, the CSV mapping files that are used to determine what what accounts the documents are routed to based on the client name or the sales rep. So far, we've walked through the document generation workflow as well as the third-party upload workflow. From a user perspective, now I'm going to talk about what that looks like on the back end, the workflow that I built, and sort of how it works. So we start off updating some variables. This information is pulled from the DocGen form that the user submits. We have the street, city, state, some information about the opportunity and account that we are going to use later on within the workflow. This next step, we have update information column with customer name. So if you remember in the tasks page, we have the customer name in the info section. So when a sales rep or a legal reviewer goes to their task, they can automatically see that the task assigned, they have the relevant account information right there to view. So if someone gets pinged, hey, I need help with so and so contract, they can quickly see that information within their tasks. Um, so we also have this document metadata, which is going to be used a lot throughout the workflow. Right now, we're putting some information in, as such as the activation date, which is the effective date that the sales rep user submitted, and then some information helpful for reporting in the future, such as the customer name. You'll be able to pull information about each contract with the customer name. So if you want to see all the contracts related to high tech, you'll be able to use this attribute to do so. Now we get into some of the CSV mapping files that I built. So this first one is for assigning the legal reviewer. So I'll show you what that mapping file looks like here. Um, but this mapping file is going to be used to determine for each account what legal person is assigned to review that. So for Edge Communications, we have mattylegal.capstone@gmail.com. But in the future, if your legal department grows, they're maybe getting stretched too thin, you want to add some more people, you can change these emails to be the email of the person that you're adding. So it'll dynamically check if an account is maybe the University of Arizona, it'll go to that new person. So if we were to add Taylor to the team, we could add that email right here. And if it is a University of Arizona account opportunity contract, we are going to route it to Taylor and not Maddie. We just think these CSV mapping files are a lot more beneficial for management in the future. So you don't have to go through and update these workflows that can get tedious. So the CSV mapping files are a lot more user friendly for updates in the future. This next step is a Salesforce update. Updating the stage to negotiation and review. I mean, sales reps, they want to have their information in Salesforce so they don't have to switch between systems. This step here kind of facilitates that by updating the Salesforce stage to negotiation and review. So if they click on an opportunity, the information will be up to date as possible so they don't have to go to CLM and check for themselves. This next step here is supporting the business requirement of having the additional approval from the sales rep manager if a contract was uploaded. So I walked through that third party high tech contract that I uploaded into the system, and we had Sarah, sales manager, approve it. Here is where that functionality kicks in. If we have the condition set as generated, then it'll skip this approval and go straight to some reporting functionality we have down here that'll eventually go to legal. But if it's uploaded in a third-party contract, we go to this update variable from CSV, which is similar to the legal one that I just walked through, but instead it's for sales managers. So I'll show you what that looks like now. We have this second CSV to facilitate the dynamic routing of sales managers. So here is the email of a sales rep and that person's associated manager. If you have multiple users, obviously their emails are going to be different, and you can assign whatever sales manager is accurate for that person. But right now we just have the one for demonstration purposes. But if you have maybe 3, you can have Sarah Sales Manager, or you can have a different email here, and it'll all be routed dynamically based off this CSV table. Like I said earlier, just makes it easier for management in the future. Now we have some more metadata updates. We have the stage one that's going to be big throughout this workflow, specifically for reporting purposes. One thing I thought about was people are going to want to know where their contracts are. I think that's one of the biggest pain points that CLM solves, and updating this stage attribute in the throughout this workflow just gives everyone in the organization insight into what stage it's currently at. So at this point in time, we're updating it for awaiting sales manager approval, which then goes to obviously the sales manager approval. They get the most recent version of the document. We assign it to the user based on the CSV routing table. We have some instructions here that I mentioned earlier. Obviously, you can change some information there, and then we have the email body showing the link and that the sales rep has some uploaded a third-party contract for approval. So once that is approved, it'll go to this stage. But if it's not approved, if it's rejected, it's failed or canceled, it'll just finish there. But if it is approved, we'll go to another update variable where we're updating the stage message. Using some C# input where we have the awaiting legal review, and then it combines with the legal reviewer that was assigned. So this is going to be really helpful for the stage message being even more descriptive. So it won't just say awaiting legal review, it will say awaiting legal review from whoever the reviewer is. It just gives you more granular information into where contracts are exactly and at what stage they are maybe getting paused, delayed, etc. So we update the metadata variable for reporting purposes there. And then here we go to the legal persona, where they are kind of the quarterback, either choosing send for internal review, send for external review, signature, or reject the document. So I'm going to walk through what each of these looks like now. We'll start with internal review. So we have the updating variable for assignment in the next step. So here we update what the variable with whoever completed this next task or this last task in choice. So they can be assigned that task and choose users. If you remember from the workflow I walked through earlier, we had the legal person, if they chose send for internal review, we had them also choose a user on the next screen. These 2 steps are where that happens.
based off the CSV routing table, it'll be assigned to a legal person. And then when that person completes that task, it'll update the variable and then also assign the choose users to them, just to make sure that the person assigning for internal review is also assigning for choose users, and it just makes a more elegant user experience. The update variable activity here is another stage message for reporting purposes, and we do the same thing we did earlier, except it's awaiting internal review from whoever that internal approval person designated was. Again, this is for reporting purposes. You can choose awaiting internal review from so and so, and you can see all the contracts that are paused at that stage. And then we flow to the approval from that person. They get the most recent version of the document and also an email notification. And you have some things here such as due date. This could be really helpful if you want to set a time to live on this contract. You could say it'll time out in so and so days, just to make sure that these contracts are moving along. We have the stage message again being updated, metadata being updated, all for reporting purposes, which I will walk through in the later stages of this demo. Now we have send for external review. Again, the document metadata stage is being updated. We have it actually being sent to the point of contact designated by the sales rep. We have their name being dynamically pulled here and a message for them to review. The email branded template just makes it a nice and pretty version for them to see, just makes it a lot cleaner. And then we go to more updating stage message and metadata for reporting. So now you can see after the external review is completed, it's being sent back to legal. So we just want to make sure that the stage is getting updated at each point in time, and now we can see it's awaiting legal review from the legal reviewer. Once they say send for signature, we're going to update the stage message, send to client for signature. Metadata is being updated. Then we have the sent for signature aspect, which is where the actual signature is being captured and the emails are being sent out to the sales rep and the point of contact. So we have the sales rep here, which is the submitted by variable, and then the point of contact, which is the customer email, and they need to sign. We have a message for them. This is the email notification that goes out, and we have this signature order check. Just means that the sales rep has to sign before the external point of contact. If this wasn't checked, that wouldn't be the case. And then we have the update document keywords activity, which updates the document with the signed description after everything is signed. We have Salesforce being updated to close, just to have sales reps be as knowledgeable as possible without having to leave the Salesforce platform. And then we have some more update variable values, and then update document metadata with some relevant information for reporting purposes. Um, I did keep mentioning reporting, so that is what I'm going to walk through in the next part of this demo. So I mentioned throughout the explanation of the workflow that I built that I had a lot of updates to variables and document metadata, all for reporting purposes. And I want to walk through some of the reports that I built that take advantage of that functionality within the workflow. So the first one I want to start out with is contracts under review. This just gives the person viewing the report a high-level overview of all the contracts that haven't been signed yet, that are still in workflow, the customer name associated with it, and then the stage. And then like I mentioned earlier with that C# input, it gives you very granular data about where exactly the contract is. So it's awaiting internal review from this specific person. It just makes your data a lot more granular. It gives you a lot more insight into where things are being held up and bottlenecks and such. And I have another report that takes that to an even deeper level. This contract review average duration report. As you can see, we have the start date of a workflow, the last time it was updated, the stage that utilizes that C# input to really get granular with this information here, and then the duration of the time that it is in the current stage. So this data isn't necessarily accurate, but or representative of what it would look like in a real life organization. Um, but you can see that the building blocks are there. The stage is updating with legal review from mattylegal.capstone, and it's 49 days and 6 hours in the current stage. Obviously, that's unacceptable for an organization. They want to have their contracts signed and executed and reviewed as quickly as possible to really decrease that time to revenue. So this report here will really let organizations see exactly where these contracts are, where the bottlenecks in the process are. So hopefully they can eliminate them or try to reduce them as much as possible and really increase or decrease that time to revenue, which is the goal of any organization. In this next phase of the Capstone demo, I want to discuss user management. So for the demo, I've walked through three personas: the sales rep, the legal reviewer, and then the sales rep manager. So for each of those personas, I created three different users: Caleb Marsh, which is the sales rep persona, Maddie Legal from legal, and then Sarah, sales manager, to complete the sales management approvals. So if we click on view user, these are the permissions that Sarah, sales manager, was given. As you can see, she's a DocuSign viewer for e-signature and then CLM user. Using the principle of least privilege, these are the maximum amount of permissions that she should have. CLM user prohibits the use of the admin functionality, such as creating workflows and all of those higher level things that Sarah, sales manager, isn't going to do. Because if you remember from the workflows, all she does is approve third party contracts. So CLM user is the only permissions that she's going to need. And I'm going to show you what that looks like when she's logged in. So I created this dashboard, which shows her the tasks and then some documents in her watch list. If she had wanted to star a document to watch later, she'd be able to. If she had tasks, she'd be able to easily see them here. This just provides a nice little view when she first logs in for what exactly she needs to do. For reporting, those two reports I walked through earlier, you can limit them to certain people within the organization. So I limited Sarah, sales manager, to just contracts under review. Really, that's only the information that she's going to need. You can limit documents to specific people, so folders to specific people. User management, something that going forward organizations are going to have to do if they were to like take this demo and try to adjust it to their organization. They're going to have to set permissions on who needs to be able to create workflows and who needs to be able to view certain documents and such. So user management's a big thing going forward that is going to need to be taken care of by any organization.